You already know, ladies and gentlemen. Roll the clip.
We're looking at Palantir shares right now after a beat on the top line and a beat on the bottom line. Profit was 7 cents compared to the estimates of 6 cents per share. You can see shares are up just about 5% right now. Current quarter guidance also basically in line. This is also Palantir's fourth quarter of profitability, qualifying it for inclusion in the S&P 500. CEO Alex Karp, he told me yesterday it's very important to him because it makes the company more accessible and also widely held, as it would then be included in the SPY ETF. Karp also says that Palantir...
We don't need to go any further right there. Ladies and gentlemen, what we've been talking about for months and months and months, talking about Palantir, keeping track, looking at all the data, absolutely smashes earnings today on the top and the bottom line. Congratulations to all the Palantir bulls out there that have enjoyed a 20% rally up in a single day for an AI company, which is hard to say among all the other different AI companies out there. Palantir is really separating itself, working to become a mega cap stock in the future. Now, what Palantir did was not just beat earnings today, but raise its future guidance, which we've talked about, if you've been watching the videos, was likely going to be a very important metric that lots of eyeballs were going to be looking forward to, and how they were predicted to operate in 2024. Everything's looking bullish for Palantir right now. Before we get too far, hit that like button, subscribe for daily video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just collecting the data and dispatching it to you. Now, quickly, let's recap Palantir's price action on the day before we really pick apart Q3. Look at this crazy gap that was established in the between the after hours and the pre-market today. You got Palantir that absolutely skyrockets and moons from 1468, testing resistance already at that 1844, which we've talked about. Blows past the 15s, blow passes the 16s, the 17s, the 18s. Right now, we're right underneath 18. You got trading volumes that are astronomical at 170 million, market cap at 38.67 billion. Let's talk about what Palantir did report today. They come in here at 7 cents per share compared to the estimates that were 6 cents. Revenue beating that too at 558 million compared to the 556 million that we did saw. Now, breaking this down in terms of percentages, Palantir's revenue for Q3, the third quarter here, has actually increased 17%. That's going from 478 million a year earlier. And just basically the company now has a net income of 72 million or 3 cents per share compared to the net loss of 123 million in a quarter ago. And with these consecutive quarters of profitability, this is the fourth one, we now have inclusion into the S&P 500. What Alex Karp had mentioned in the clip right there brings a lot more exposure to Palantir. Another really bullish sign for Palantir, like we've talked about, is that guidance. Now, Palantir has expected to report between a $599 and $600 million in revenue during the fourth quarter, and even raised its revenue guidance for the full year between 2.216 billion and 2.22 billion. Now, talking about this, the company is really working to grow beyond just these government contracts, and what we've seen is success with the AIP platform. If you don't know what that is the artificial intelligence platform that they have recently released earlier this year. And what they do have is we're seeing an enormous amount of interest into the AIP boot camps. If you're new to Palantir, what the AIP boot camps is basically a trial for possible clients to test out the software before purchasing this. And we can see this business decision and tactic is becoming very successful for Palantir. As we see right here, by November end, the end of the month, they're on track to conduct boot camps with over 140 different organizations, and half of those are going to take place this month. And that the use of Palantir's AI platform has almost tripled in July through the September period. Now, talking about that, and what we are seeing with Palantir is that their commercial revenue is continuing to grow. We see the growth here at 33% over year, and its U.S. commercial customer count has increased 37% year over year, growing from 132 to 181 customers. Now, this customer growth is incredibly important, also seeing diversification among their clientele away from just relying on these government contracts. And what we actually have seen is a small decrease in the government contracts, but that's okay. Diversifying to all these different clients we saw yesterday with the partnership with Calypso. We've seen them as the top bidder for the United Kingdom National Health Service contracts. So really diversifying across all these different types of industries helps bring more success and exposure for Palantir to bring these AIP products to different types of clients. Now, looking at their Q3 overview, let's talk about one of the most important metrics, more important in my idea compared to just revenue and earnings per share, are the customers, because the customers are the fundamental piece of valuable information that is there for the business. And if you don't have customers, then you don't have a business. Now, US customer growth, you're seeing right here in terms of commercial revenue and customer count, is up 34% year over year. Commercial customer count, not private government contracts, is up over 45%, nearly 50%. And we're seeing here commercial revenue growth up over 33% and government revenue growth up over 10%. Now, customer growth is really important as we're seeing it hold steady. Even for year over year, we're still seeing an 8% increase. And in a way, like I've talked about, customer growth, and even the Seeking Alpha, this author right here, talks about how this is a very important metric, and we want to see this really embrace and get incorporated into Palantir, as revenue will come later as the customers continue to keep coming to the table to test out this type of platform. Now, talking about that, the question is, what does 2024 bring? That's the next question for Palantir. And also another really big question is, can this gap be sustainable? You have to remember that. And before everybody gets too FOMO'd into Palantir, you got to remember it went up 20% today. And this is what we talked about, the speculation and the uncertainty and the risk that was associated with Palantir. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves and thinking that everything is at the top, because everything is moving right now, it's important to understand that we have a ton of volatility behind Palantir. So Palantir needs to be able to hold this level. We could see lots of volatility coming in tomorrow, and that will lead us more into what are the fundamentals for long-term growth with Palantir in 2024 and beyond. And as Palantir continues to deliver, there's really no reason to believe it won't keep doing this in the future. I agree with the statement right here. We've seen Palantir that's really turned around its business, and even Alex Karp, what he's been seeing is a re-acceleration of growth from these US commercial businesses. Now, talking about the fundamentals, especially with Palantir, they have one of the best balance sheets there are. They got $3.283 billion in current assets of about $3.8 billion, and basically almost zero debt compared to the amount of cash that they have on flow in terms of their cash position. Now, this puts the current ratio at an incredibly strong 5.53. And talking about that, and what we've seen with Palantir is that this mega chip brewing stock could have a very bullish 2024. And the reason being is because AI is still in infancy. We've only seen the explosion of artificial intelligence since the beginning of this year. All these different types of AI stocks. And Palantir, an AI-focused stock, is a leading competitor right now, competing against some of the top chip stocks that there are in the market. We're talking about Microsoft. We're talking about Google. Palantir is competing against them. They're really giving the bears not much more to argue about or criticize. And even with its high valuation that we're seeing, and it even increased more today, you can tell people are still paying the premium. They just really don't seem to care. At the end of the day, the stock is valued what people are willing to pay for it. And what we're seeing with Palantir is an incredible, immense amount of growth. And talking about that, with a compounded annual growth rate, you could run your metrics, you can see these valuations. They're all saying, hey, it's going up and up and up. And according to analysts, they say the company could possibly be generating close to $10 billion by 2032. Now, talking about 10 years from now, it's a long way down the road. But looking back, looking at Palantir, I don't doubt it. I mean, I wish I would have got a Palantir way earlier. But talking about technical analysis, long-term targets are less reliable. I do agree with that. But what we do need to be looking for is the possibly risk that Palantir may challenge in the future. And that is any other type of competition that we could coming to the game. And that is also, where is Palantir going to be going by the end of 2024? Will there be one more opportunity to get in at cheaper prices? That's always a big question. There's a lot to unfold here. What I think we're going to be doing is analyzing how Palantir is going to be trading over the next few days, seeing where it's going to settle, what's going to happen, and can it hold this explosion of the 20% that we've seen. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys later.